Hello and welcome to another episode of Coach Max Goes to the Movies, and today we're talking about Detective Pikachu. And let's start out with something a little different than what most people would do. I give this movie a 7 out of 10. Man, that's kind of weird, you know. There's still a lot of time left on the video. There's no one paying me to do this. I'm lucky if I get 50 views on a video. I'm not saying you can't pay me, but when I do movie reviews from now on, I want to start with my rating of the movie at the very beginning of the video. I get tired of waiting for 15 years for someone to tell me what they thought about a movie or a game, and so I want to start my videos out by getting straight to the point with it. Let's just dive on into why I give it that rating. 7 out of 10. Let's talk. Detective Pikachu is a live-action movie based on the game of the same name. I have never played Detective Pikachu, so I don't know how closely focused on the game it is, but I know all about Pokemon, and that's enough to get me super into the movie. I love Pokemon so much. I was beyond ecstatic whenever I heard about this movie happening. But of course I was skeptical because video game movies don't have the best track record, and I wasn't really 100% sold on the models of the Pokemon. My tune changed completely on the latter as we saw more models of the Pokemon, but I still wasn't 100% sure about it being a video game movie. I'm not really into Mortal Kombat or Tomb Raider or any other video game that's been turned into a movie. They just aren't my types of games, so I don't really care about watching the movies. I have seen the Mario Brothers movie, and that was one of the worst things ever. Maybe a little overhated. It's still not great, but I definitely see why it has the reputation that it has. And Sonic the Hedgehog trailer didn't do any favors to the video game movie genre. Not that these are absolute failures, but they're certainly not the best. So I only had that mindset related to video game movies when I walked into theaters. I'm so glad to say that this is definitely the best movie based on a video game that has been made so far. I don't know exactly how much of the plot of the Detective Pikachu game was borrowed for the movie, if any of it was borrowed at all, but what they went with worked so well in the movie. I think the reason for this is that they made the movie first and then put Pokemon in it. If you're making a movie about Street Fighter, for example, the focus of the movie has to be on combat. It wouldn't be any fun watching Ken or Ryu going through bankruptcy on their donut shop, and it just wouldn't make sense. The point of those games is fighting, so fighting needs to be the focus of the movie. Pokemon does have the focus on Pokemon battles, but we see much more on Pokemon in the games and in the show. It's all about how Pokemon interact with each other, and humans. And that's what makes this movie work. You could remove Pokemon from this film entirely, and for the most part, you'd have a decent detective mystery movie. And man, I love the Pokemon in it. They do such a good job with inserting these creatures into this world. Everything just looks fantastic. Everything is Pokemon themed as you would expect it to be. If you don't physically see a Pokemon, odds are you see a reference to it on some sort of billboard or a sign. And the models, like I said earlier, they look fantastic now. I talked earlier about how I wasn't crazy about the models at first, but I wasn't dead set against them. There were some people absolutely freaking out over them, and I'm not sure why at all. Some people were like, "Ooh, Mr. Mime looks too bizarre," and I was like, yeah, that's the point. What would you expect from Mr. Mime? Ah! The Pokemon look so good in this movie. They literally look like they could be walking next to me in the park or on the street. One thing I specifically pulled out my phone in the middle of the movie to type so I didn't forget about it was the way they showed evolution. The show has it easy where they can just turn the Pokemon into white and shapeshift, and games just swap out a graphic. But in the movie, they become this amorphous blob and then take their new shape. It looks really good. The plot is pretty good too. A little basic, but it's not the most basic I've ever seen. And if you don't want any spoilers, now is the time for you to get on out of the video. I'm not going to put a timestamp in on where to skip, so if you don't want any spoilers, get. I loved all the references to the first Pokemon movie, saying that Mewtwo caused an accident in Kanto, to the research lab almost looking just like the first research lab that Mewtwo blew up. He just doesn't have a great track record in those things. And the twists were the right level of predictable. Not mind-boggling, but enough to keep you interested. Once the scene with Pikachu talking about what Tim's dad would do if he were there, I knew something's up with Pikachu. And then when Mewtwo started merging people and Pokemon together, I knew immediately what had happened to Tim's dad. I'm guessing this explains why Tim was able to communicate with Pikachu. Maybe I stopped paying attention to something in the movie, but it makes sense. I loved the twist with Ms. Norman exposing that she was a Ditto the whole time. I absolutely did not see that coming, but if you're an experienced Pokemon fanatic, then you could probably piece it together before the reveal, which is great storytelling if you ask me. The two main kids didn't really do a whole lot for me. They aren't bad actors, they just felt kinda bland. Without Ryan Reynolds really carrying the acting, it could have easily become Mario Bros. 2.0, but man does Ryan Reynolds help carry this movie. I was honestly worried that he would be too much like Deadpool, and I love Deadpool. See, I've got him. Where's he at? Oh, he's not. I don't have him right now. See, look, I got a little Deadpool. But there's a time and place for constant quippage at the volume that Deadpool does it, and this is not the place for it. But they balanced it perfectly in my opinion. Pikachu was a nut when he needed to be, and somber and focused when he needed to. Absolutely fantastic casting and acting. And the Mr. Mime scene, that was hilarious. That is like one of the best scenes in the entire movie. There's so much that you don't get to see in the trailers, and it just makes it all... That's really about all I have to say on the movie. I was gonna go see it a second time, I just wasn't able to. I give it the 7 out of 10 rating because it is absolutely fantastic as a video game movie. If you don't have any nostalgia for Pokemon though, it might be a little difficult for you to get into the movie. But I still think you'll be able to enjoy it for a movie if you don't care anything about Pokemon. Overall, definitely give this movie a chance. You need to see what is probably the best video game movie we've ever had up to this point. And I don't think Sonic is going to be taking that crown anytime soon. Thanks so much for checking out the video today. I've got another movie review on Avengers Endgame if you want to give that a look. And if you're interested in my gaming content, check out this video on Mario 64 I posted a while back. See you later!